Hey, I noticed your presence at the class reunion yesterday. Although, I don't recall spotting you. But considering your tendency to avoid social interactions, it's not much of a shocker. Some habits never change, I suppose.
Quite certain you saw me, actually. I overheard you slandering me to others. It seemed like you were intentionally raising your voice, ensuring I would hear you.
Is that so? I'm not sure. I can't imagine spending time concerning myself with someone who prefers to blend into the background.
If that's true, why bother contacting me at all? Wouldn't our conversation just consume your precious time?
Oh, are we in a sour mood, Carol dear? Reacting to me in such a defensive way. Aren't you supposed to remain silent? You're aware of the differences in our social status, right? You haven't forgotten, have you?
Social status? What are you referring to? I remember how it was back in school. How you would look down on me and taunt me. I would always avoid crossing your path due to your persistence. But we're grown-ups now. Isn't it juvenile to continue this belief that our supposed differing social statuses dictate our interactions?
You mean you're clueless?
About what?
Once a certain kind of relationship is established, it remains unchanged throughout life, no matter how much you attempt to equate yourself to me. Your place, simply put, as my subordinate, will remain unaltered.
Your subordinate? That's amusing. Have you forgotten we've graduated from high school? Even for a teenager, such thinking is absurd. Even for someone at that age, it sounds preposterous.
Isn't that why you got flustered and escaped, right? Even though I made efforts to extend friendliness towards you.
Friendly? I seriously doubt you understand the term. You continually belittled me. Trying to make me a joke among our peers, pilfered my stuff. I always pondered why you tormented me the way you did. Initially attributing it to some issues you may be facing at home. But then physical harassment started as well.
Simply seeing you incited my rage, I suppose. I couldn't control it. You only needed to adhere to your role and comply with my commands, but you never grasped that concept. I heard you mentioning something about hoping for reconciliation earlier. That made me question if you had forgotten your position in our relationship.
Can we drop it already? There's no rationale for extending this conversation. I had no plans to attend further reunions anyway. That should satisfy you, right? My sole motivation for attending this time was the news about our old homeroom teacher's retirement. I wanted to express my gratitude for his efforts during my school years, nothing more.
Naturally, it's unlikely any of our classmates remember you, right? Do us a favor and skip future reunions, you introverted girl. Your presence isn't desired.
Rest assured. I have no interest in encountering your unpleasant visage again. I'll make sure to steer clear.
Hey Sarah, how's work been?
It's nice to hear from you, Andrew. Work's been fine, nothing too serious. Why the sudden question though? Has something happened?
Have you been able to get to work all right?
I may be your little sister, but I'm an adult now. I can take care of myself. You don't need to feel so protective of me.
Hey, old habits die hard, right? Of course, a brother's gonna worry about his little sister sometimes.
Yeah, I know, and don't get me wrong. It makes me happy to know you worry about me. It's reassuring to know you care. Anyway, I haven't even had to go into work very often recently. since most of our work is being done remotely now. Everything has been going pretty smoothly.
I'm glad to hear it.
Still, it's strange for you to suddenly ask about that. What happened?
What do you mean?
You know what I mean. You barely ever text me, you always just call. It's out of the ordinary, so I figured something was going on.
Well, your intuition is right there. I've actually got some news for you. I'm planning on proposing to someone.
Oh, really? Congratulations. Who's the lucky lady? I don't remember you even talking about having a girlfriend. When do I get to meet her?
Well, there's actually something I wanted to ask you about regarding that.
Huh? What?
Well, she's actually someone who went to the same high school as you, apparently.
Huh? She is?
She was in the same year as you. So I figured you might know her. Her name's Renee.
Are you serious? Did she say anything about me?
No, she never mentioned anything about you. I mean, you weren't really able to go to school very often back then. So I figured it'd be best not to bring it up. I remember it seemed like you had a hard time in high school. So I was concerned that maybe you weren't able to get along well with some of the students. So, I wanted to ask you about her privately first.
Renee was in my class, yes.
Ah, I thought so. Are you okay with me marrying her? You'll be seeing her more often as she become your sister-in-law. So I wanted to talk with you about it. Are you by any chance not really good friends with her? It sounds like she really keeps in touch with most of your classmates. So many of them would likely come to the wedding too. Thinking about that got me worried about you.
I guess I can see why you'd be worried. But still, if you want to marry her, that's your decision, isn't it? It's not my place to stop you from making a decision like that. So I guess I can support it.
What do you mean, you guess? But, if that's what you think, then I understand. Well, to be honest, I sort of suspected that she might have been putting on a persona for me. I was hoping to figure out if she's really the kind of person that she acts like she is around me. From your reaction, I'm guessing that you didn't exactly get along well with her, right?
Well, yeah, since I didn't really get to go to school very much. But that's not something that you really need to hear about.
Are you really sure? If there's something you want to say, I would be happy to hear it, no matter what it is.
No, there's nothing to say. Your happiness is what's most important to me. I hope everything goes well for the two of you. Congratulations.
Excuse me, what makes you think you have any business here? You weren't invited, you know. I wouldn't ask someone who'd just sour the atmosphere to join in. Did you sneak in or something? That's utterly appalling. I can't believe you'd resort to such tactics.
The only person here who's acting in poor taste is you. Did you truly find it necessary to kick me? You certainly caused a spectacle with that action, startling everyone around.
Well, what of it? The idea that you, of all people, thought it fitting to attend someone's wedding uninvited is repugnant. I assumed you'd have learned some boundaries by now. There's no one else I'd rather see removed from here. Have you forgotten about our high school times?
I'm genuinely surprised that you still think kicking me at our age is acceptable behavior. You appear to be clinging to our past, unable to move on. You really are the worst.
So now I'm the one at fault? What about the person who has the audacity to crash a wedding when they're not even friendly with the couple? Truly, I'm baffled at your expectations. Intruding on a wedding is exceptionally disrespectful.
Consider this for a moment. I knew perfectly well that I wasn't invited. And I'm certainly not the type to intrude on a wedding. I wouldn't attend a wedding just to encounter you.
So, you came here to reveal some past grievances from high school, did you? I suppose you thought you could humiliate me in front of our old classmates. So you blended in as everyone arrived? The last thing I need is someone attempting some juvenile prank at my wedding.
Don't you have any respect? Why do you continue this tirade? And again, the kick was wholly uncalled for.
Would you kindly be quiet and leave? Or do you wish to be kicked again? Your presence at my wedding, even as an old classmate, is entirely unwelcome. If you don't vacate shortly, I assure you, there will be more kicks.
All right, I can leave, but are you sure that's what you want?
Leave, you nuisance. Out of my sight.
I must admit, I didn't anticipate being physically assaulted at my own brother's wedding. Very well, I will depart.
Wait, what?
Even if you were to apologize at this moment, it wouldn't change a thing. It's far too late. Regardless, I'm leaving now.
Wait, hold on, what do you mean by that?
I'm exiting now. Farewell.
Where on earth are you? Would you consider returning to the wedding? I implore you. I've something crucial to discuss.
It's unlikely, I'm en route to my home. Plus, there isn't anything particularly compelling I wish to discuss with you. Remember, it was you who forcibly removed me from the venue. I'm certain that's not something you've forgotten.
Wait, things have taken a turn.
I bet they have. Unaware of the fact I was about to be your sister-in-law, you ejected me from the venue, with force at that. As per your irrational demand, I left. I did tell you that an apology was too late. Or perhaps that slipped your mind as well.
But how could I have known you were the groom's sister? He never brought it up. It was utterly unknown to me. I was under the impression you attended my wedding to provoke me.
So if I wasn't, your actions would be justified? The only logical way to see that is if our roles were reversed. Moreover, you should have known that I am not spiteful. You could have at least speculated about my presence. I don't deny my dislike for you, but I don't hold a grudge. Upon hearing my brother was marrying a Renee from my class, I instantly knew it was you. Still, I didn't breathe a word about it to him.
Really? You didn't mention it?
Indeed, I struggled to believe my brother chose to marry the very woman who forced me into remote schooling. The thought of him choosing you out of all the women in the world was unbearable. However, I presumed he saw something in you and decided it wasn't my place to meddle with his happiness. Thus, I held my tongue.
I see, so that's the situation. I may have misjudged the circumstances. You are welcome to return to the wedding if you'd like. We could perhaps start on a new footing. I promise to cease belittling you, okay?
However, I've come to realize my mistake.
Mistake?
I initially thought my silence was necessary since my brother had chosen you. I planned to mask my feelings and remain quiet for his happiness. Today, I understood I was wrong. You haven't evolved one bit.
What do you mean?
Even after a decade, you believe it's appropriate to physically assault me in public. This is the clearest evidence of your stagnancy since high school. I played the role of the supportive sister. given my brother's decision to marry you. I suspected your niceness was a ploy to marry him, concealing your true self. I bit my tongue, but I can't hold back anymore.
Could you get to the point? What's your intention?
I've resolved to tell him everything.
What?
He's already noticed my absence, and he senses something is off. He has been protective since high school, when I skipped many days due to bullying and harassment. Even in college, he frequently checked on me. He is a caring person. It's his concern that made him notice my odd behavior.
Wait, please pause for a moment. You're not planning on sharing unnecessary details with Andrew, are you?
Unnecessary details? Such as?
Things like the harsh treatment I subjected you to back then. Or my aggressive behavior today.
So, you consider these unnecessary extras? You think these details are irrelevant to your marriage? No, Renee. These are truths. And when my brother hears about this, his love and concern for me will undoubtedly fuel his fury. Still, I believe it's better than proceeding with the wedding and regretting it later. Don't you agree?
No, hold on. This is outrageous. Today is our wedding day, remember? It's supposed to be a day of joy for us. Our honeymoon is scheduled for next week. Everything is planned. I beg of you, don't reveal this. I won't let you snatch away my happiness.
So you're telling me, after sabotaging my high school years and my education, that I should be worried about your happiness? Your audacity astounds me. You're lucky I haven't involved the authorities over your physical assaults. Who are you to dictate whether I communicate with my own brother? He has been in my life and cared for me longer than he has known you. Wait until he finds out that the woman he's pledged his life to was the ringleader of the group. That made his sister's life miserable in high school. What do you think that'll mean for your engagement, HM?
Don't you dare, Carol. This doesn't involve Andrew. I genuinely love him. I'm not the same person who bullied you.
Has he seen the real you, though? The one that's been hidden behind the mask? A marriage built on lies, what good will that do? All I want is for Andrew to see you for who you truly are. I want him to see the face of the woman who deserves to be called nothing short of a scoundrel.
That's not fair. Our history doesn't relate to my relationship with Andrew. If you truly cared for your brother, you'd keep all this to yourself. He'd be happy marrying me, why would you ruin that?
You're wrong. I'm doing this for his happiness. In fact, I've already shared everything with him.
What?
He's called off the wedding. I believe he made the right decision.
You're bluffing, aren't you? He can't possibly know already, can he? Maybe he's not answering my calls for some other reason. It's not because he doesn't want to talk to me, is it? What have you done, Carol?
You'll find out soon enough, he's on his way to see you. Be prepared, though. He's not in a good mood. Which is totally justified, I think. And about your assault earlier? I might not report you to the police, but you did damage my dress. Plus, you hit me. Several times. A lawsuit may be on the horizon. I'll be demanding compensation for your actions.
No, Carol. You're blowing this out of proportion. You wouldn't actually sue me, would you?
I'm not exaggerating. I'm simply stating facts. All the torment since high school? Those are offenses. I'm not the same vulnerable girl anymore. It's time I stood up for myself and ensured you pay for your actions.
What? I'm not looking for a fight. I just want to marry Andrew, that's all. I promise, I'll be better towards you from now on. Can you go and explain everything to Andrew?
You want me to explain everything? About how you've been making my life miserable all these years?
No, that's not what I meant. Tell him that you were joking about everything. Convince him that we've been close friends. Then he'll still marry me, won't he?
I don't think that's going to happen.
But why?
Firstly, I wouldn't lie to Andrew. Especially about something so important. Secondly, why should I help you after everything you've done? Actually, I've plenty of reasons to do the opposite. So, do us both a favor and stay out of our lives. Except for when my lawyer contacts you, of course. I suppose your dream wedding has been cancelled. What a pity. Guess the honeymoon plans are out the window too. It's rather fitting, isn't it? You get what you deserve. Best of luck finding a new man. He's going to need the luck more than you, dealing with you. As soon as Andrew was privy to the full story, he was engulfed by an unparalleled fury. He, then and there at the venue, announced the termination of the wedding and his intent never to see her again. Renee desperately tried reaching out to me, begging me to intervene and persuade Andrew to rethink his decision. Needless to say, I turned a deaf ear to her pleas. Some empathetic classmates, however, updated me about Renee's situation after becoming aware of the ordeal I faced as a consequence of the wedding being called off and me initiating legal proceedings against her. Renee found herself in a whirlpool of hysteria. Her determination to win Andrew back seemed relentless. She went to the extreme of stalking him in a feeble effort to persuade him to reconsider the marriage. But her increasingly drastic actions left Andrew no choice but to seek a restraining order against her. The repercussions of the events led to her losing her job, as she was unable to recover from the shock. I learned lastly that her past friends deserted her upon knowing the full story, leaving her in a state of complete solitude. As harsh as it may sound, I harbor no sympathy for her. She faced the consequences of her actions. I have always believed in the principle of you reap what you sow. Andrew expressed gratitude towards me for revealing the truth and preventing the wedding just in time, though he playfully hinted that I should be more prompt with my revelations in the future. He expressed faith in my discernment, and I believe that this experience allowed both of us to grow. Now, I am setting my sights on the future, with the anguish of my past in the rear view, and my brother by my side for support.